Well, Kishore, thank you for taking a minute, and could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Kishore Gawande. I'm a professor at the Bush School of Government at Texas A&M University, and I'm very happy to be here at the GDN conference in Kuwait.
So you were discussing yesterday for Tuesday for a very interesting session. Could you say a word about it?
It was a great session. It was a session with three very complimentary speakers. The first is Paul Collier. He doesn't need any introduction. Terry Carl, who's from Stanford, and Tariq Youssef, who was at Georgetown and now is at Dubai. He's heading up their School of Government here. And they had fairly, I wouldn't say different, but very complementary and connected set of views. So Paul's idea was basically that we have studied a lot about the natural resource curse, which is basically saying that resource abundant countries don't grow very well in the long term and they have poor governance. But his point of view is that now that we have come this far, there is another side to it, that countries that govern themselves well have very good natural resource asset valuation. So what we see across the world is kind of an equilibrium between these two things, like a curve, which is a natural resource curve, and the other curve, which is a natural resource valuation curve. So let's understand this model and take it further. And a lot of my comments were on that model. I think it is a big picture model. I think it has a future, but a lot of work needs to be done. Terry Carl had a great presentation. She's very passionate about poor governance in resource abundant countries. Her view was very well explicated in her book in the 80s called The Paradox of Plenty, which is like essential reading for anybody in this area. So she's an authority. I really enjoyed her presentation. It was very it had a lot of images, and I like that Niger Delta photo. It leaves an impression. So she's very passionate. I don't want to misrepresent Terry's views, but she is, I think, arguing that she comes from the natural resource curse point of view, and she doesn't see a very bright future for countries which are natural resource abundant in terms of their governance. And she thinks that the world needs to get a lot more involved in getting it right. Tariq Youssef was very interesting because from my point of view, he's saying, wait a minute, because look around you. We are in Kuwait. It's a beautiful, rich country with no civil conflict, or at least you cannot see it. And so there must be something not so bad about an authoritarian regime. I mean, people seem to be not very unhappy. And so he's got this model about the regime itself, authoritarian regimes itself, being a bargain between the population and the rulers. And they're saying that, if the authoritarian regime satisfies the population in terms of provision of public goods, essential facilities, excellent schooling, you create a big middle class, and so what's wrong with that, right? I mean, it's implied. He's not saying good or bad. It's a political economy equilibrium is his point of view, and therefore it is stable. And if you go back to Paul Collier's model, there is room for both points of view, Terry's point of view as well as Tariq's. And so I found this session fascinating. I was trying to weave all of them and put them together, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Well, Kishore, thank you.
All right.